Women's Pioneer Housing is a registered social landlord providing accommodation to women-led households. We've been established since 1920. We are looking forward to our centenary in 2020, and moving forward we're looking to enhance our existing services and create developments for new services to our existing and future tenants. We were aware that our existing telephone system was old, didn't enable us to do all of the things that telephone platforms could do, and so we worked with a consultant who helped us to prepare a tender and specifications so that we could bring in a new company to provide our telephone system. We looked at 7 tenders, shortlisted it down to 3, and we invited those 3 providers to come in and prepare a short presentation on their product. Ultimately, we selected Fern. We were happy with their presentation, with the product. We felt that they matched their specification to meet our criteria, and we also felt that they took the time to look at our specification rather than preparing a generic product.
The key thing for me, apart from the obvious, which is price, was around value for money. It's a very important factor in our sector at the moment, and this is much broader than just the price. We're also looking at things like quality of service, which includes, for example, speed of response to our tender, how we expected the company to respond to our needs that we very clearly set out in the specification. And so there are a number of other factors as well. That they had very clearly got a number of people behind the scenes. It wasn't just the sales people, although they were very impressive on presentation, but the actual strength and depth was very clear, and that was something that was very important to me. I've given presentations before, and I've felt in the past that perhaps you don't always get what they say on the tin. With Fern, you certainly did.
From my perspective, the appeal of the Fern proposal was that they were able to implement delivery of the new telephone system with very little active involvement on my part. They certainly were able to make a start, deliver everything that we expected from them, and I was able to stand back, get on with other areas of my work, and only be involved as a contact or as a contact for queries and questions around the deployment. But I was quite happy that they were able to come in, and from start to finish I was able to sit back and get on with my work.
From a finance perspective, price is important. Value for money is also important, and in comparing the price offered by the providers that we interviewed, it became clear that it was no use looking at just the capital cost, the first implementation part. We had to look at the price over a 3-year period to make the bids comparable. Having done that, it became very clear that Foam was leading the way. However, it wasn't just about price. We were also very keen to ensure quality of service, and we looked at the mode of implementation. So, for example, we didn't want to have to spend loads and loads of time sitting with them, implementing things ourselves. We wanted to make sure somebody was going to take that off our hands and to just take it forward for us. And we were satisfied that Foam was one that was going to do that.
One of the things that we value and regard quite highly is the fact that our tenants provide positive feedback on their experience when they contact us over the phone. We haven't been able to substantiate that with any evidence other than general feedback and a few random surveys that suggest that our service is professional and is efficient. That's also compounded by the fact that the people who answer the phone have long careers with Women's Pioneer Housing, so not only do they know our business, but they also recognise and know our tenants.
And from a reporting side, and particularly from performance reporting, which is important to us because it's something that we have to report through to the board, that should improve substantially. For example, we can record how quickly it takes to respond to a call, how many calls individuals are getting, how many they're making. We can even record calls, which is something totally new for us.
What we've been trying to do is establish some parameters so that we can set some useful targets, measure how well we actually do when we answer the phone, and actually report with meaningful information. With the new telephone system, we've been able to do that, and we're not saying anecdotally that we do well, we're actually providing evidence that supports that.
I think one of the key things for me is the ability now for people to ring me directly, so that I think that the business as a whole, the perception of external stakeholders has improved. So people like our lenders, the bankers, professionals such as solicitors and auditors can just dial in directly rather than going through the switchboard, which took everybody's time up and also interfered with the smooth running of the organisation, particularly with tenants trying to get calls in as well. So there have been huge benefits from that side.
From the presentation of the original product down to the implementation and the delivery of the new telephone system, what was clear to me was that there was a clear division of expertise within Fern. The sales pitch was actually quite impressive, and we were, in comparison to the others, we were actually quite pleased with the way that the two sales consultants delivered the product, their obvious knowledge of the product, and made us feel quite assured that we were looking at a company who obviously had a good knowledge of what they were offering to provide to us. Since implementation and actually having the telephone system installed, what was really also quite obvious to us is from the moment we selected Fern, we were told who was going to be handling our project, and it moved swiftly from sales to the technical expertise. We had a good technical director giving us their understanding of how the project would be implemented. And then we moved down to the actual technical expert in the installation, briefing us, making sure that we were happy with the deployment of the actual product. My own experience of the technical support has been positive, and I have to say I'm quite impressed that we get chased for feedback, we get chased for follow-up, and clearly any reports that I make are not left languishing. People actually come back to me to find out what I felt about the support that I received and whether or not I was happy with it.